Diablo 4 might be the better game on paper, but Diablo 3 is the one I actually want to play. That's the thought that's been sitting with me for a while now, and it surprised me because I've put a lot of time into both games. Some of that time was on Xbox, some was on PlayStation, and to be honest with you, some on older consoles, ones that I don't even own anymore. So I think it's fair to say I've lived with these games long enough to understand how they feel, not just how they look in a feature list. And the more I think about it, the more I realise that the difference between the two games isn't really about mechanics or graphics or even story. It's about how they fit into my life and how they make me feel when I sit down to play them. When I load up Diablo 3, there's no pressure attached to it. It doesn't matter if I haven't touched it in months. I can jump straight into the action, kill a few demons, and enjoy myself without feeling like I've missed anything. There's no season I'm behind on, no meta I need to catch up with, no sense that the game has moved on without me. It's a self-contained experience, and that makes it incredibly easy to relax into. Diablo 4, on the other hand, is built around a completely different philosophy. It's always online, always updating, and always shifting. And because of that, it creates this subtle pressure to stay engaged. If you step away for a while, you come back to a game that's changed in ways you didn't keep up with. For players who have the time to stay on top of everything, that's great. The game rewards that level of commitment. But for someone like me who plays a variety of games and has a lot of other things outside of gaming, such as my blog, my day job, my 2 YouTube channels, my gym workouts, and my Spanish studies, in addition to social events and that sort of thing, it can feel like a commitment rather than something I play to unwind. And at the end of the day, why are we playing games in the first place? We're playing to chill out, unwind, enjoy ourselves. But that difference alone shapes how I approach both games. Diablo 3 feels welcoming. Diablo 4 feels like something I need to make time for. One thing I'll give Diablo 4 full credit for is its story. It's far more engaging than Diablo 3's, at least in my experience. When I first played Diablo 3, I didn't even pay attention to the story at all. I was there purely for the combat, and of course the leveling up. It wasn't until much later on a replay that I actually took the time to understand the story. Look at Diablo 4 as a comparison. From the moment you log on, you have the most engaging cutscene you've ever seen. It pulls you in from the beginning. It's darker in tone, more grounded, and more cinematic. Blizzard clearly wanted the narrative to matter this time, and it really shows. The problem is that the rest of the game moves at a pace that doesn't always match the story. When a game is constantly updating and expanding, it's hard to relax into the narrative when you feel like the world is sprinting ahead of you. I actually wish I had more time to appreciate the story without feeling like I'm falling behind on everything else. The skill system in the 2 games highlights their different approaches to player experience. Diablo 3's system is simple, intuitive, and easy to experiment with. You unlock abilities, try different builds, and adjust as you go. It's straightforward without being shallow, and it encourages you to play around with different setups. You don't need a guide to understand what you're doing. You just try things and see what works. It feels more like a personal experience. And Diablo 4 more closely resembles Path of Exile for me. And by no means am I saying I don't like Path of Exile. I love it, I think it's amazing. But if there's one thing I find incredibly overwhelming in Path of Exile, it's the skill tree. Diablo 4 isn't quite that extreme, but it still leans into that direction. And because my time is limited, I end up relying on guides instead of discovering things naturally. And that's just not how I prefer to play games. But the game's structure almost pushes you in that direction. It's not that the system is bad, it's just not as accessible for someone who dips in and out of the game. The environment also reflects the difference in design philosophy. Diablo 3's areas are tight and focused. Not all of them, but you do seem to see more tight corridors in Diablo 3. And this gives combat a fast, punchy rhythm. You can funnel enemies, control the flow, and get into a satisfying loop really quickly. This game feels like it's designed around momentum. Diablo 4 opens everything up. These zones are huge. The distances are longer, and the game encourages more movement with a dedicated dodge button. It's impressive, but it's also slower in pace. Sometimes it can feel closer to a twin-stick shooter than a traditional action RPG. The darker tone is clearly inspired by Diablo 2, and while a lot of people prefer that direction, I personally enjoy the more vibrant look of Diablo 3. That's just a personal taste, but it does affect how the game feels moment to moment. And this is something people don't talk about enough, but it matters. Diablo 3 loads almost instantly on a PS5. You're playing within seconds, and the game immediately pulls you into that flow state where time just disappears. It's incredibly easy to get started, and that makes it incredibly easy to keep playing. Diablo 4 has more steps. You have to deal with the updates, logins, server connections, and loading into the world. None of these things are huge on their own, but they do add up. The last time I tried to play Diablo 4, I had a 38GB update waiting for me. I mean, makes sense, it was part of the expansion. But it's interesting to point out that that size is almost as big as Diablo 3 on its own. By the time it finished downloading, I'd lost the motivation to play. And this is not a criticism of the game itself, but it does affect the experience. When a game starts feeling like effort before you even press a button, it becomes harder to justify jumping in for a quick session. Now, I know it sounds like I'm being super harsh here. I'm basically saying it just so happens when I logged in, we had an update. But it's all the different things that add up. And the file sizes say it all. Diablo 3 sits at around 52GB. Diablo 4, on the other hand, is roughly 137GB. Might even be more now, I have no idea. That difference says a lot about the direction Blizzard has taken. Diablo 3 is a game. Diablo 4 is a platform, and platforms demand more time, more attention, and more ongoing engagement. And this is the part that's harder to quantify, but it's probably most important. For me, Diablo 3 is a comfort game. It's something I can return to without thinking. I can zone out, enjoy the combat, and let the game carry me along. It's familiar, it's satisfying, and it doesn't ask anything from me. Diablo 4 is exciting, ambitious, and impressive, but it doesn't give me that same feeling. It's a game I enjoy when I'm in the right headspace, but it's not a game I can just pick up and play whenever I want. There's always something happening, always something changing, always something to catch up on, and that's the core difference. Diablo 3 fits in my life. Diablo 4 expects me to fit in its life. All of this leads to a bigger point that I think is worth saying out loud. It's completely fine to enjoy older games. We live in a gaming culture that constantly pushes for the newest release, the latest update, and the next big thing. But that mindset can be exhausting. There's nothing wrong with choosing comfort over novelty. There is absolutely nothing wrong with preferring simple experiences. And I really don't see the problem in playing a game that came out years ago, especially if it fits better in your life. Diablo 3 is still on my console because it respects my time. It lets me relax. It lets me switch off. It lets me enjoy the hobby without feeling like I'm falling behind. And I'm not saying by any means that Diablo 4 isn't a great game. I genuinely enjoy it, but I have to be in the right headspace. But it just so happens Diablo 3 is the one I keep returning to. I think the main thing I want to leave you with is that however you feel about these games is completely valid. If Diablo 4 is the one that clicks for you, that's great. If Diablo 3 is the one you keep coming back to, I get that too. We all play games for different reasons, and we all have different lives around those games. And that's part of what makes this hobby so personal. For me, Diablo 3 fits in my life in a way that feels comfortable, and Diablo 4 fits in a way that asks a bit more from me. Neither approach is wrong. They're just different. And I think it's important to give ourselves permission to enjoy the things that actually make us feel good, even if they're not the newest or the most talked about. I really appreciate you spending the time with me today. If you enjoyed this video, check out this video here. Thank you so much for watching this week's video, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks.